Go. All right.
Go.
Hello,
Blah.
everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Oil Drop Podcast. Today is Sunday, June the 3rd, 2018. We got two of the three members here today. Arun was unable to join us, but there's still myself, James, and then there's Adam, Sweet44722 on Reddit. So not a whole lot happening with the Oilers recently, obviously. It's the playoffs. It is coming down, the kind of the home stretch now, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
We're well into the finals. So we'll talk a little bit about the Oilers, but it'll mostly be an NHL-wide cast here today. I think I'll just start, though, with the Oilers topics that we previously discussed a little bit. The Oilers recently got rid of pretty much all their coaching staff, and so they hired three new assistant coaches. This was done a few weeks ago. So Glenn Gulutzan, Trent Yawney, and Manny Viveiros as assistant coaches. So they'll be joining Todd McLellan behind the bench for last year. For those of you who don't know, so Gulutzan, he was Calgary's head coach, and he's coming up the highway to, be with Edmonton, which was a little bit surprising. And then Trent Yawney, he was an assistant coach with Anaheim. His contract just wasn't renewed, so Edmonton took him. And then Manny Viveiros, he was head coach of the WHL Swift Current Broncos. So he led the Broncos to a WHL Championship this last season, and that probably was pretty instrumental in landing him an NHL job. So what do you think about those hirings?
More than anything else, I think Woodcroft and Johnson being out is the big ticket item here. The fact that we finally made changes after a historically bad penalty kill and power play is a relief, but who we got is also a big part of it. I think Glenn Gulutzan may not have succeeded as a Flames head coach, but I think he can do well as an assistant head coach. Mm-hmm. It's been said before he's a player's coach. Sorry. So he's very much in tune with what the players are doing. And last time we had a coach like that was Todd Nelson, and we saw a lot of progress in a half season he was here. I guess you could define McLellan as a player's coach as well, but your head coach can't necessarily be the same kind of player's coach your assistant coach can. Just politics wise. With Viveiros, I'm not 100% sure on his track record. So obviously he did well this year in the WHL. WHL's a step up to the NHL, but stepping into assistant coach role with a lot of experience with him is likely going to be a good thing for him. Well, it's a good thing for the Oilers. And then Yawney has tons of experience training young defensemen, young talented defensemen, and that points all towards good signs for us, considering we have Baird, Jones, Clefbaum, Nurse all entering their prime, who will need some guidance. And Yawney's obviously worked with Lindholm, Vatanen, Fowler,
Right.
Theodore, all the guys in one's in Vegas, but all the guys in Anaheim that became legit defensemen.
Is the whole idea, Yawney, is he supposed to be the defensive guy? Like, do you know who is getting what role?
It seems like from what McLellan has stated that they're going to be coaching as a unit. However, I imagine they're going to separate off, work on strengths, because of Yawney's strengths as a defenseman, it makes more sense for him to be working with defensemen. Right. We don't really know for sure, but that's what it sounds like, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm interested to see how it goes. Kind of like you said, though, I'm more just happy that Woodcroft is gone. So, as long as we were getting rid of him, I'm pretty much willing to give anyone at least a season's worth of chance.
Honestly.
Yeah, that was a little bit frustrating.
The fact that he didn't get fired mid-season to me is insane.
Well, yeah, because they did pick it up a little bit near the end with regards to the power play and the penalty kill, or the penalty kill especially. But it was historically bad.
You can't say much more. McLellan came out and said that he actually started taking over the power play and penalty kill towards the end of the season, which might explain why it got better.
Maybe. Hey.
So, but I mean, they did say this year that it would be. He said last year was coaching as a unit, this year is coaching as a unit. But at some point, do you think they're trying to save face, or do you think maybe it really was coaching as a unit? They just figured stuff out towards the end of the season.
I think it was probably a save face sort of thing, to be honest with you. But we'll never know.
Yeah, honestly, they're never going to really say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have any. It's not as much as I wish and don't wish it was. It's not like the NFL and NBA where people throw each other on the bus every day.
Totally.
it'd be fun to see every once in a while, but it's kind of like you look at the NBA and the NFL and you go, why?
Yeah,
it's so unprofessional.
The NHL is not really like that, but the NHL is pretty boring mostly. But at the same time, you don't want players and coaches like publicly feuding and stuff. Like whenever that stuff does happen, it makes big news. Like you remember when Evander Kane was like all his clothes got thrown in the shower when he was with Winnipeg, and the players were like, "Get rid of this guy," and people still talk about that. How long ago was that? Like 3 or 4 years ago now.
Oh, I think it must have been longer than that.
I was just kind of spitballing. I'm not.
Yeah, 100%. No, but yeah, it's a good point because I think if you look at obviously the Forbes top 100 athletes came out last year, and no NHL players in the top 100 in the world.
Really?
Yeah, it was LeBron was first. It was a lot of NBA, a lot of NFL, a lot of cricket, a lot of soccer. Obviously, Ronaldo, Messi, big guys, and then you get to like 30th on the list. And there's badminton players. And then you get farther down, and there's low tier soccer players, and then a lot of different sports. But there's no single hockey player on the top 100, including Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid, Price, Fleury, like anyone. No one's in the top 100 most popular.
Weird. Who put that list together?
Forbes.
You'd think that they would know then.
I think it's based on. I don't know if it's based on survey. I have to actually look at it, but I don't know if it's based on survey. But I think. It's based on a general poll that they take where, they're like, oh, who's the most prominent athlete you think of? And then people list names. And,
Okay. Yeah, maybe then. I mean, I don't know. At that point, yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
But, I mean, does that mean, well, to me, that looks like the NHL hasn't marketed themselves properly. What do you think?
No, I mean, the NHL will take almost any opportunity to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
When it comes to marketing or promotions or
The problem for me is that when's the CBA expire next year?
2020, I thought.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But there's already assuming there's gonna be a lockout.
I know.
And it's just
you see these contracts, these mega contracts that people have been signing over the last 3, 4, 5 years, and it's like. They are preparing to be locked out. Just the way that the contracts are structured, it's like we're assuming that this is going to be happening. So we're going to lose another half season at the very least, maybe another full season. Who knows?
The worst part is the NHL complains constantly about TV numbers and how, obviously they have streaming services that are region locked. Like if you buy NHL Game Center and you live in the viewing region, you're locked out.
Yeah.
But if you don't have cable, then you have to steal games, and they complain about people stealing games. So they went to the MLB streaming. The MLB streaming didn't work for the first season, so they lost a lot of subscribers, and they complain about all this stuff. And then, as they're starting to get popular with Vegas coming in and Seattle potentially getting a team, they're going to be locked out.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, it's shooting themselves in the foot. It's ridiculous for a pro sports league that's trying to promote themselves. They're not doing a very good job at all.
Yeah. How they do? Yeah. All right. Next topic we got here. So this was about two weeks ago or so, but there was a Swedish UFA, or RFA, I guess he is. Joel Perrson was signed by the Vaccio Lakers. Vaccio? How do you even say that? Vaccio?
You know what? I don't even know. I just don't.
Vaccio Lakers, the Swedish hockey
league. If it was English.
So, about Joel, he's 24 years old. He's a right-handed shot defenseman. So, you all know how coaches, GMs love to masturbate over those. And he's slightly undersized, about 5'11". He weighs about 187 pounds. So he's a little bit undersized. He's not super tall, but he got good offensive instincts. So last year was his first year at the SHL level. He got 34 points in 51 games as a defenseman. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what I understand, he got a 1-year contract this year for this season, but he's still going to be staying over in Sweden. So he's not going to be coming over to North America. So if he has another great season, then they'll probably give him like a quote-unquote bridge contract where he gets, 2 years, and they'll probably give him a couple mil. But just depends on how he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is an out of an ordinary move for the Oilers as of late. Like they don't normally go to a foreign league, sign a player on a 1-year contract to see what then they will do, just to have the rights. Like it's a little off the cuff for an Oilers move, and it's not such a, I don't mind it. Persson's obviously, he showed promise. He's not exactly an elite talent, but maybe he could be our version of Rasmus Dahlin in miniature form. Kind of nice, but yeah, it's not a bad move. I like it, to be honest. We're losing nothing out of it. At worst, we go, okay, he's not the player we thought he was. I'm sorry, we're not renewing your contract. At best, we gain the rights to a player who could potentially slot in on a third pairing of our defensemen in the future and have some offensive upside.
Yeah, exactly. It was a little bit weird because, he's going to count towards the 50-person contract limit. So, and he's guaranteed to be in Sweden next year. So really, I don't know. It's, you know what I'm trying to say. Like,
yeah.
It is potentially annoying, the contract situation this year, but I guess you just kind of have to plan for that. And like you said, if he continues developing the way that he can, or the way that they think he's going to, third pairing guy, good offensive instincts, it's, if anything, like, it's more competition for Bear, because they're about the same size, Mr. Ethan Bear and Joel Perrson here. So they're about the same size. What I understand, or I've only seen YouTube clips of this guy, Perrson, but they play a somewhat similar game. So maybe in competition with each other. Perrson's a few years older, so you probably want to give the inside track to Bear, but it's tough to say.
And for this one, for me, is all about the scouts. This is 100% on the scouts. So if we get screwed with the contract situation and Perrson doesn't develop, and when something happens that we have to drop a player because the contract's this year, it's on the scouts. With that said, we've already lost, I think, 3 players this season. Slepyshev, Pakarinen, and we lost someone else.
LV2.
Yeah, LV2's gone. So we have 3 contracted spares. So, but throwing one to a player is not going to be an NHL this year. Is maybe not the best use of contracts, but I'm not going to exactly throw Shirley over a cliff for this one.
Yeah, I'm not going to be upset or anything either. And the players that we lost, Slepyshev was a little bit disappointed to lose, but Pakarinen and Ovitu are fringe players. Like, really, we didn't lose much when they left. Slepyshev, I'll really never know or understand what happened there, because I still feel like he had some potential, but what are you going to do? So.
Yeah, for me, Slepyshev was a lot like Yakimov, where it's a player that I think gave up on themselves and gave the team give up on too early.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I know Yakimov wanted to go back home because his dad ran his team back home, so he wanted to go back home and play for his dad. His dad had an influence in his decision making. But Slepyshev would always seem to be on the outs with the coaching staff, which I found odd.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's maybe his attitude in the locker room or whatever was going on, but it seemed like he was always trying to prove himself to a coaching staff, even after proving himself to the coaching staff. Like, I remember he was playing on the first line at one point this year.
Mm-hmm.
For a couple games, he slotted and he played well, and he gets shuffled back down and would scratch next game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't really understand what's going on there.
Well, it's hard. It's annoying for sure. Okay, so moving on from there. So we got the 2018 NHL draft coming up. So the Oilers are drafting, assuming no trades, where they're going to draft 10th this year.
Yeah.
So what do you think would be? Do you have anyone in mind at the 10th overall spot?
Or
at least positionally.
I kind of hope we trade down. Um, there's a few options like for free agents this year. Um, you look at James Neal's potential target, although I'm a little bit worried about how much he's going to cost. Um, but I'll let you go first. I know I think you're up to date on the prospects this year right now.
Well, I don't know if I'm up to date per se, but I still think that they are set down the center. So you don't need to draft a center. You never draft a goalie super early anymore. Nope. Nobody does it. You just don't do it. Defense doesn't look too bad. So I think that they still gotta look for good high-end wingers, and they gotta get someone to play with McDavid and Draisaitl, and Yamamoto was a good start to that last year. Puljujarvi the year before that. Jury's still out on both of them, to be honest with you. So I think that they need another pick, another skilled winger, whether that's going to be Brady Tkachuk, get a Battle of Alberta going with his brother. Another guy that's kind of caught my eye, it's another American kid, Joel Perrson. He's played with the U.S. under-18 team last year. He's got good size, but he weighs like a feather. So I don't know if he's another Yamamoto or what, but Joseph Veleno, he's listed as a center, but maybe he could convert to a wing. Just positionally, I think that they need to go with another winger, because everywhere else it's like, okay, they're okay, like McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, they're good down the center. Goalies, get them in the later rounds. Defensemen, they still got Clefbaum, they still got Larson, defensemen, they're not going to be around for a few years anyway. So, I don't know. I'm okay with another winger, but I never really considered the possibility of drafting down, or trading down, like you had previously mentioned. If they do that, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to take a closer look at who's potentially on the market this year that may be underperforming, that may be willing to be traded. But the big thing we've already been told is that Chiarelli's not looking to make any big moves, which, to be honest, I'm rather happy about, because every time he's made a big move, he's suffered the consequences pretty severely.
Yeah.
Which, to put it lightly, but if they stay at 10 right now, the estimated draft or the mock draft on is it Manny's old draft site, which is not a site I'm 100% familiar with, has the Oilers drafting Noah Dobson, who is a 6'3", 177 defenseman from QMJHL.
Okay.
Not even sure if he shoots right or left here. This table's not the best.
I think he's right-handed. Okay.
He is right-handed, so that's obviously a big plus for the Oilers, because they they need him. The other possibility is Jesperi Kotkaniemi, is available right around there. He's right wing. The Rangers are expected to draft him, but the Rangers also have I think 4 first-round picks, so they're 3 first-round picks. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up trading one of those.
They would definitely trade at least one. The Rangers are they're entertaining with these sorts of things. So
that's a good way to say it.
Just going with those 3 picks, but maybe, who knows?
If Adam Boqvist, I'm trying to remember his name. If he drops, I think that's a given, but that's a fair amount to drop, because he's expected to go 7th.
Yeah. So I mentioned Brady Tkachuk. I feel he won't be there at 10.
Brady Tkachuk's in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
The weird thing is this site, the fact that I'm looking a little sketchy right now, is they have Delin, Shvetnikov. I can't talk today. Shvetnikov, Tkachuk, and Zadina, and I'm not sure why they have Zadina below Tkachuk. Because in all intents and purposes, Zadina has been more impressive than Tkachuk, but it's Montreal, so who the hell knows what they're going to do?
Who knows exactly? They'll probably draft some French kid.
More than likely. Evan Bouchard or Oliver Wahlstrom, if they drop down, would be fantastic as well. Wahlstrom being a winger and Bouchard being the top-ranked defenseman aside from Delin. But, of course, at 10th, you're not exactly getting exactly what you want. There's always some surprises, so there'll be players shifting. But personally, I think if Bouchard's available around where we are, we should grab him. Just because I'm a little bit worried. not necessarily that I'm a little bit worried that we're going to trade a defenseman, but I'm a little bit worried that one of our defensemen may not work out as much as we had planned. So we'd have Larson, Nurse, and Clefbaum. Russell be done. Russell be gone soon. Sekera's gone soon. We have Barron Jones. Jones hasn't looked incredibly impressive yet. Hopefully he'll jump up this year. But other than them, we've got a little bit of depth, but not a whole lot. So I think another rookie defenseman developing in a few years wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Evan Bouchard, he's a defenseman. He got 87 points this year. Holy crap!
Yeah, he's an offensive dynamo. Whether and I mean, if you look at the league, they're moving towards big, fast, goal-scoring defensemen.
Yeah, I'd be okay if we got him. He looks really good.
Yeah. The other thing is though is that he may be someone that a team reaches for.
Someone that what, sir?
A team reaches for.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. It's within the It's within the realm of possibility because every other name that you already listed. I mean, there's a lot of good players in the draft this year.
Yeah, it's this year. To be honest, if you're gonna draft a defenseman in the top 15, this year's the year to do it. Based on all metrics, the centers are not as strong as they normally are, but defensemen are absolutely tearing up this draft class. And Noah Dobson, to be fair, he's a good sized guy. He's 6'3", 177. He played in the Q, which is going to boost his scoring numbers a little bit, but it's not as dramatic as it used to be.
No.
So
he was over a point a game in the Q, so yeah.
That's pretty around. That's good for defensemen, obviously. So I'd be perfectly fine with us grabbing Dobson. But I wouldn't be opposed to a winger. I don't think we need another centerman. But I know McClellan's shtick is that he loves to make centerman play the wing.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying with drafting Veleno.
Yeah.
So Veleno's he's in the queue. He's been a center for as long as I can remember. The kid's only like 17 or 18 years old, but I feel like I've already known about him for 3 or 4 years. I feel like did he get like exceptional player status or something like that?
No, but his name sounds familiar. The last player to get exceptional player status was Sean Day.
Yeah, he's
done a whole lot of nothing. Yeah. But no, I feel like he was on the World Junior team or something. He did get exceptional player status. He did, absolutely.
Status, yeah.
He was the first 15-year-old granted player exceptional status to play in the QMJHL. He had a lot of injury issues, though. He got traded last year, I think. That was the issue.
Tavares, Ekblad, McDavid, Sean Day.
He's got hockey IQ, sense, composure, and poise. Strong skating, size. Generally, he's a safe bet, but he's the unknown because he could be the kind of guy that explodes. The issue with Sean Day they found was that he wasn't. He didn't develop as expected.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you know about the exceptional player status or if anyone knows about it much, but there's a Bob McKenzie book called Hockey Confidential that explains it's a story about McDavid, but explains the process of going through this thing, and basically you have to pay $2,000 non-refundable if you're not successful to apply for this. You go through they send scouts to all of your games. You go through 3 or 4 different psyche evals. You have to talk to them about it. You have to pass certain player performance tests. They expect certain levels of skating, hockey IQ, production on the ice. They talk to your billet, your parents, your coaches, your assistant coaches. They kind of get a read of who you are as a player. Then they try to evaluate your home skills and how you deal with living away from home at such a young age. And it's this really intense process. Sorry?
It sounds like it.
Especially because you're doing it at 14, because you're trying to get into it at 15. So I think there's one player who's been rejected from it, and he had a nothing career. He didn't make the NHL. So it's generally a pretty good indicator too. Obviously, John Tavares Connor McDavid are the two biggest to come out of that program. Aaron Ekblad's a good defenseman. He's had a lot of injury issues lately, concussion issues that are hopefully not messing with him too much. Sean Day is likely not going to be a long-term NHLer. He has the skills to make it there, but his commitment was the issue initially. And then Joe Veleno will be the other interesting one. He's high enough in the draft class that he's been a good defenseman. Sean Day, I think, dropped in the second round, which is the only one of the exceptional status players to be drafted in the second round as of right now. But yeah, Joe Veleno is likely a safe bet. And if he drops, I wouldn't mind us potentially taking a shot on him. But he is certified good, if I may put it that way. It's been through this process. It's been shown to work a few times and turn players into elite players. But it's also kind of that, it's boom or bust, I think is the big thing.
Yeah.
What is the next topic? Was that it?
Well, let's change gears. Let's just talk about the playoffs here a little bit now, just briefly here before we wrap up. So we're into the finals now. Game 3 was last night. Washington is up 2-1 in the series. Who are you cheering for in the finals, and why?
I was a little bit unsure before we started, but I think I'm on the Knights bandwagon right now. I know you're gonna hate that, but to be fair, at the same time, I'm kind of indifferent about who wins, because I wouldn't mind seeing Obi win a cup. I wouldn't mind seeing Holtby winning a cup. I wouldn't mind seeing Kuznetsov win a cup, or Barry Trotz for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I've kind of liked this Cinderella story they've going. I like Marc-Andre Fleury. You can tell the team they're going off the we're rejects moniker, which say what you will is partially true. And I love the fact that they never stop coming at you. Like, they work hard the whole game. They have good strategies, but they never stop working the whole game, regardless of what the score is. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing the Knights win. I told my buddy yesterday, I said, if they're gonna split the home and home in Washington as well as Vegas, and so they split the home and home in Vegas. Capitals won the first one, so I think the Knights win Game 4, and then from there it'll be a crapshoot. But I do want to see Game 7. I want to see Game 7 overtime in Vegas, and Vegas win. That'd be amazing. But I feel horrible for Obi at the same time.
I'm cheering for Washington just because of Obi. I mean, at this point in his career, Washington is firing on all cylinders. Ovechkin turns 33 in September. He's not old per se, but probably fair to say his best hockey is behind him. As sad as that is to say. So you don't get many chances at winning a Stanley Cup. So once you're here, get it done, and gets his ring. He's a Hall of Famer anyway, but now no one can say that he never won the big one or whatever. So that's what I'm going for. I would love to see Ovechkin win a cup, and then there's other players there too, Backstrom and Holtby and Kuznetsov, and there's other players there as well. So
yep, I think the big one for me will be if the Caps win. People won't have to hear anymore that Obi chokes the playoffs, or Obi doesn't have a cup, so he's not a good player.
That narrative goes out the window. Finally.
So done with it. It's not true in the slightest. Shouldn't be there anymore. The only thing they're gonna say now though is that he hasn't won as many as Crosby, and it's just just
at that
stop.
point, shut up.
Just stop. I wouldn't mind seeing Fleury win a fourth, just because it'd be great. But yeah, I'm not opposed to really either team winning. I just wouldn't mind seeing the Knights win one. Part of it for me too, I think, is looking forward in the Knights' future. Oakland comes to town in 2 years, and the Raiders, sorry. And if Vegas isn't playing well at that point, and doesn't have an established fan base, which they should by now, they are going to very quickly lose every bit of revenue they have.
Oh yeah.
Because NFL is king in the States, regardless You know, I lived in Colorado, and as big as the Avs are there, the Broncos were on. You were orange and blue for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter if you were an Avs fan or not. You were watching Broncos.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. So yeah, who's your Conn Smythe favorite right now, though?
Well, I think for Vegas, if they win, I'm going to say, like, if Vegas wins, the Conn Smythe winner is from Vegas. If Washington wins, the Conn Smythe winner is from Washington.
Yep.
So if Vegas wins, I think the only real candidate is Fleury. They don't have any players that are, like, lighting the world on fire offensively. They're a team that rolls all four lines. It's very much a score by committee, play by committee, success by committee. So for me, the only option from Vegas is Fleury. And then from Washington, take your pick. I mean, Ovechkin's got 14 or 15 goals. I think Kuznetsov is leading in scoring. And then Holtby has been lights out. Like, Holtby got back-to-back shutouts in Games 6 and 7 against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
He had the save in Game 2 against Vegas here, which was just, like...
unreal.
I was reading the Reddit thread of that save afterwards, and it's just, like, someone said, like, in terms of, like, importance, pure timing, clutchness, like, athletic skill, what was at stake, etc., etc. That's, like, that's, like, possibly the best save I've ever seen in my life.
It's up there. It really is. It really is one of the greatest saves of all time.
Yeah, like a top 5 save that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's
absurd. Yeah. It was absurd. I was at work, and we have to use monitors to work at the golf course, and we're able to use the browser, and I have my Bell 5 set up on it, so I watched the game, and I wish I was kidding when I kind of yelled a little bit when they made the save, and it was not the best thing when there's people shopping in the store, but they didn't mind when they saw the replay. It was stupid.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, but like ridiculous in a good way.
No, it was absurd. It was just one of the best saves ever. In terms of I think you're right in terms of the Conn Smythe. That's how it normally goes, but I think more so even this year. There's been players. Both teams have had role players, but they've had everyone to step up for this one. That's why this year I think it's going to be a good cup victory for whoever wins. It's a win by committee, like you mentioned. You could almost say the coaches deserve some sort of trophy because they brought the teams together to where they are.
Yeah.
But for me in Vegas, it's Fleury, maybe Carlson, but I think Fleury has been the guys got them to this point.
Yeah.
And then in Washington, you could go with Kuznetsov. He's been the highest scoring, but Ovechkin's definitely taken over in the last 3 or 4 games. But I'd still go Kuznetsov over Ovechkin just because he's been more consistent.
Well, fair enough. Can't argue with either choice, really. So.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's going to pretty much do it for us today.
Yeah, I think that's all about we got. Yeah.
So once again, my name is James, Paul-McCartney- on Reddit, and then there's Adam Street44722 on Reddit, and today's Sunday, June the 3rd. We'll probably wait until after the draft for our next episode, but we'll see. We'll let you know when we're going next, and I think that's going to do it.
Have a great one, guys.
Okay, thanks for tuning in.
See you next time.